What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Brandon's Face, the podcast about a playlist. I am one half of your hosting duo. My name is Jonathan Beardsley, and as always, I am joined by the man who lived through the rise and fall of the iPod, Brandon May. Brandon, how are you doing, buddy?
Oh man, it's honestly man. I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. I hope you're doing well too, man. It's the end of an era.
It is, but it leads me to a fun question I want to start today's episode with, which was, what is the first song or album you downloaded on your first iPod?
As I Lay Dying, Shadows Are Security.
Oh my God, that's fucking incredible. I love it. I love it.
I know exactly because I tried so long. I knew that there was back in those days. Me and my buddies, we were throwing burned CDs around, and it was cool. Like if you got a copy of one, you can put it on your computer. The first one I downloaded, though, nobody had a copy of it yet, and it had just released, and I knew that it was the release day, and I downloaded LimeWire for the very first time, and I tried to download Confined by As I Lay Dying, and
Yep.
I couldn't find the entire like that song for some reason, but I could find like the whole album folder online. It was really weird, man.
That's fucking great, man. That's a great album. I think it's funny because you and I must have done that around the same time. My first download was They're Only Chasing Safety by Under Oath.
Oh, fantastic album.
Yep. It was on the silver mini back when they would like etch your name into it if you ordered it offline.
Oh, that's so cool. We actually just found that album in my wife's things.
Oh my God. It's one of my favorite albums of all time, and I'm sure we're going to talk about that someday, but I love that there is a iPod of mine sitting in a landfill somewhere with my name etched on the back, probably.
Yeah, man, I had a few of them. I had my favorite though was my classic, my iPod Classic, 160 gig V5, you know?
Yeah, those 120, 160 gigs were getting fucking wild, man. They were loaded. It used to be like a thing between me and my friends, like who could get the most on, and then we would all go to each other's houses and just rip each other's libraries. It was fucking awesome, man. Good times.
Those
End
were
of
the
an era,
days.
like you said.
You needed like a lot of effort to like download the music. I actually ended up finding a way to download movies once I got high speed internet instead of the DSL that we were working with. And when we did that, I started downloading movies. So I remember watching Batman Begins, I think, on my iPod Classic in Spanish class with Mr. Rio. And
oh boy. Man,
shout out
fucking
to Mr.
Pirate
Rio.
Bay days, huh? Good times, good times.
Oh,
All right, buddy, you ready to get into this?
Yeah, man, I'm ready to get into it. Let's do it.
I am. Please, if you're listening, like, follow, subscribe. You can find us now on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify and YouTube as usual. Are we anywhere else that I don't know of?
Google Podcasts and
Podcasts.
Podcast Index, I believe. If you go to the website brandonsface.com, there's a whole section on where you can find us.
Yes, please check out our website brandonsface.com for our release calendar and a lot of other cool stuff. And you can follow us on Instagram at Brandon's Face Pod. But with that out of the way, let's get into this because, boy, April and May have just been one stacked fucking week after another. And this one, again, up there with like the most stacked. I feel like we've said this 3 or 4 times this year, but this is the most stacked week we've had all year so far. All right, let's start off with the singles. We have a new one from Joyce Manor that I threw on here, Don't Try. Man, both fucking singles they've released this year are awesome. I love how to the point their music is, and I'm expecting this album to find a nice home alongside Mom Jeans and Pup in my rock music rotation for the year. How did you like this?
40 Ounces to Fresno cannot come out fast enough. This is a great short little song. It sounds like a blend between Armor for Sleep and Jimmy Eat World. I love this.
That's a really great way of putting it. Jimmy Eat World, I didn't pick up on that, but definitely some influence in there. I think we're a little under a month away now, or about a month away, so can't fucking wait for that. It's going to be great.
Yep, agreed.
Okay, we have got a new one from the Afghan Wigs, The Getaway. Do you want to talk about the song or the new album first?
Well, I mean, we can kind of do both, right? They announced it's officially an album, which you and I had been speculating about back when they released the last single. I forget what it's called. I'll Make You See God.
Yes.
which was awesome, man. This is the juxtaposition between this song and the last single is exactly what you'd expect in an Afghan Wigs album. And they really do a really good job of blending and incorporating strings and pianos into this cool alternative rock, man.
I agree, man. The strings are great on this song. The song is really good. The album is called How Do You Burn, comes out September 9th, and will feature contributions from the late Mark Lanigan. So that'll be really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, man. I'm anxious to talk to you about this new one from Matt Lange, Curtain Call.
Tell me what you thought, John.
This feels like an outro to an album that I have not heard.
That's a great way to put it, man.
It's got these like really beautiful orchestral elements, but I'm not sure how I'm supposed to receive this type of music. Like, it's nice, but it feels out of context.
It's called Curtain Call, so I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with either an album closer, or maybe he's doing like some sort of contribution to like a movie score or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's ambitious. It's different. Not something I'll revisit, but it's definitely an interesting turn. I'll be interested to see if he pursues it any further.
I think that's kind of it, man. I don't see me going back to this song, but it is a very good musical composition. He clearly has this giant range of what he can do. Yeah,
totally. All right, man. Speaking of range, we're going to go from Matt Lange to Suicide Silence, because that's what we do on Brandon's Face. They released a new one called Thinking in Tongues. I have not listened to Suicide Silence much since Mitch passed away, and I didn't even know that the old vocalist of All Shall Perish was doing vocals for them now. I had no idea. That honestly shows how much I keep up with the metal scene. I thought this track was really good, but all it really did at first was make me want to listen to old Suicide Silence again. So I threw on the Black Crown. Newsflash, still incredible. And I went through their whole recent discography as well. And man, they have not lost a step in the transition. Still cranking out some of the best metal out there. I revisited their 2020 album, Become the Hunter, and it was still really good. I don't know if this is a single for a new album, but I really enjoyed it. I'm sure you were happy to get some new metal.
Yeah, I think I texted you immediately as it released. We got new Suicide Silence. This actually reminds me a lot of their No Time to Bleed album. It's kind of got those vibes. Yeah, man, Eddie's been killing it. I think it's Inherit the Crown, or the album that has Inherit the Crown on it. Was the first album with Eddie, and I actually got to see them on tour during that album tour. And I was thinking about that earlier today because the Black Dahlia murder actually opened for them at that tour.
Yeah, very sad, man. You wanna break that news if anybody hasn't heard it?
Well, unfortunately, the vocalist for the Black Dahlia murder did pass away. There's no details on the death, but apparently,
41, man.
Yeah, way 41, way too young. He was a great vocalist, really unique vocalist, and they brought a lot of what's the word? Horror to deathcore.
Yeah. It's a good way of putting it, man. Rest in power.
Rest in power.
And we will definitely keep an eye out for new Suicide Silence beyond this, because this was really good.
Absolutely. I agree. Yeah, this was really good.
Okay, let's move on to this next song from John Hopkins, and I'm thinking Hi. I don't know how to pronounce this artist's name. The song is called Baby We're Ascending. I don't know what subgenre of EDM this is, Brandon, but I kind of like it. It's weird, though.
I think it's fucking beautiful. Baby We're Ascending is something that I've probably said to my wife while I was on acid or something. This is beautiful, man. I don't know if Hi is the vocalist or something, but I'm feeling the song like in a major way, dude. The progression, the attention to details during the a cappella parts, the bass line, the way the percussion kind of leads to the, I don't know if you want to call it a drop, but I thought that this was gorgeous music.
Yeah, I thought it was beautiful, just much different than I was used to. Didn't really know how to define it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to this new one from A$AP Rocky, That's My Bitch, or That's My Brandon, however you want the acronym to play
it's
out.
Definitely man. That's My Brandon.
I imagine you have some thoughts on this song.
You know, we should really be loving our women, John. But I thought that this was good. I like the production on it. I'm not really like a giant fan of the lyrics on this one. I know you sent it to me, but I forgot to watch the music video until just this moment. So
No worries.
did he just make this song just to flex on literally the entire hip hop group that, hey, yo, I'm dating Rihanna? Like, is that what this is?
It's, I mean, I think it's a flex in that he can cast her in a video where that is not like a very obtainable thing to do for most artists. But I think he sold her on it because when you see the video, like the song does not portray the narrative of the video very well, but it's this like ghetto love tale type of thing. And his videos are always just really well done, really well thought out. And there's a lot of like trippy aspects to them. But I feel like this song could have just been so much better. It's clearly getting a lot of hype because of her involvement in it. And it's hard to imagine it being received as anything other than just another ASAP Rocky song if she wasn't attached to it in this way.
Are we anticipating an album from ASAP? Has there been any
I
sort of
don't
announcement?
know. He's going through an arrest right now too, I believe. So I was kind of surprised this dropped at all because I know he's going through some legal stuff. It's I honestly have no idea. I think he's about due for an album. Testing came out in 2018, so about 4 years ago. I would say yes, but it's a crowded year, and honestly, with everything going on, he's probably best pushing till early next year. But that's me playing his A&R, which I am not. So
What did he get arrested for?
I think it's I don't want to misquote anything. I think it's like connection to a shooting that happened years ago, but I don't know any details or if he's like an accessory or an accomplice or what the rumors are. Clearly he is out and about right now promoting this song. So I don't think it's too crazy, but we will see.
Yeah, we'll see. He's probably in a lot less trouble than Young Thug is.
Yeah, man. He's probably in less trouble than Young Thug's dog right now.
They
Jesus.
got the dog.
They got the damn dog, dude. That's going to be interesting to see. I've never been a big Young Thug fan, but I do really like his verse on Compensating by Amine. So I'll give him that. I don't know if that'll help him much in what he's about to go through, though.
Yeah, I don't
Hey, I'll write
know.
a character statement that I really like his verse on Compensating, where he says the orange and black seats, Daffy Duck. Let him go, sir. Let him go. Okay,
Oh my goodness.
let's move on. We got one I threw on here from an artist named PJ Morton. The song's called Be Like Water, featuring Stevie Wonder and Nas. I don't know about you, but I do not know who PJ Morton is. I'm assuming he's a pretty well-respected guy to get Stevie Wonder and Nas on a track with him. What did you think of this?
Yeah, I had never heard the name PJ Morton, but Stevie Wonder's voice sounds fucking great.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously, I love Nas' verse. Do you feel like this song kind of ends a little too abruptly?
Yeah, I think it does. It's part of an album that I did not add the whole album of. I just saw this song had dropped and added that. So it could tie into something that comes after it. But I thought like you said, Stevie's voice sounds great. Nas kills it. The strings in this instrumental are great too. It's a really
So
good
cool.
song. Yeah, great song. Okay, man, let's move on. Do you say, is it Kasabian? Is that how you pronounce their name?
In my head, I just say Kasabian. I don't know.
Kasabian? Sure, I like it. All right, they released two new songs, Scripture and Alligator. Oh, man. So when did you discover them?
We discovered them when we were listening to a curated playlist to get ready for, I think it was Coachella 2014.
Okay, yeah. I remember their name's been around for a while.
Yeah, we actually ended up seeing. I think we stayed for like 4 songs or something like that, and then we bounced to another stage. But they were really good live. In fact, they were a lot heavier live.
Yeah, there's some really heavy elements to the music, so I'm not really surprised. Did you like these two songs?
I liked Alligator more than I liked Scripture.
Interesting.
They're rock, but it's different. I don't know how to describe this music.
I'm gonna try. indie electronic space rock. Did I do it? Is that it?
I think it's more post indie electronic
Yeah,
space
yeah,
rock.
throw a
John.
post in there. Jesus Christ. Post electronic. Throw it in the least sensible place. Yeah, I think these songs are a trip, man. I like them both. I think they're kind of a genre unto their own, so it's kind of hard to describe, but it's weird, but it's really fun to listen to. I guess that's the best way I can describe it. I liked these.
Yeah, I did also enjoy them.
Okay, man. We have two new songs from Sasha that you added. Who Are You featuring Mr. Sosa and Just Us with Pumarosa. I know you loved these, right?
Obviously, we got two Sasha tracks in the same day, and they're both very fucking different.
Yeah.
Who You Are is just a straight house banger, and then Just Us is really beautiful, kind of ethereal, atmospheric, really neat kind of track. Two completely different things, but they're both awesome.
Yeah, Who Are You? I agree. Is definitely like the minimalistic style that we know Sasha for, and it's a really good track. He's a legend in that genre for the reason. But Just Us definitely had a little more of that trance vibe with the vocals, and oh man, I fucking loved it. I really liked both of these tracks. Every time you throw a new Sasha on here, I'm always excited.
Same. Every time his name pops up, I'm like, oh, okay, it's gonna be that kind of night.
Yup, yup. He is as good at producing as he is at DJing, which is kind of rare.
Right.
Okay. Oh boy.
You ready?
All right, we got we got two new ones from Taylor Swift. We got Taylor's version of This Love and Wildest Dreams. What album are these from that she's going to be re-releasing?
1989, my boy.
Okay, that I don't think I've ever heard that album either.
You've
so
never
that's probably why I
heard Taylor Swift's 1989, bro?
I don't know if I've ever heard the like Wildest Dreams sounds really familiar.
You've heard
the melodies
a ton
in
of
it,
songs on this
but
album.
I don't know that I've ever heard This Love before now.
Well, I think both of these versions actually sound better than the original. We've got, let me try to find it here.
Have you been a fan of her versions over all of the original versions so far?
So far, actually, yes. She just continues to increase her presence on the songs, I think, and her voice just continues to be fucking gorgeous. So
yeah, her label really fucking underestimated her with this one, man, because these are only gonna do so much bigger than they did the first time when technology with like when she was releasing Teardrops on My Guitar and stuff. That's back when people were buying music, so the streamable versions of those, while they do have a lot attached to them, are not the like most irreplaceable things. I think it's going to be interesting to see what artists follow this lead.
yeah, well, you've heard a ton of songs off of 1989, man. She's got Blank Space and Shake It Off and Bad Blood, and I think even on the deluxe version, I think.
Oh God, are we going to get a new Kendrick?
Yeah, I was just going to say, are we going to get a new Kendrick verse on the Bad Blood remix? Because that would be dope. He is active right now, so.
Jeez. We're going to have to post some like conspiracy theory videos about this to our YouTube channel.
Taylor Swift 1989 Taylor's version released by TDE. I'm calling it now.
Oh man, I would be much more excited to listen to it. I can tell you that. Okay, man, let's move on. We got a new one from Coda the Friend called Up. I think this is good, but I think he's playing it a little safe. It's very uplifting, but a little generic. Do you agree?
Dude, he's a little slower with his flow on this one. It's almost as if he's trying to match the beat instead of flowing over the beat. He doesn't normally do that. I don't know. I was also disappointed that it wasn't like a concept song about the Pixar hit movie Up. So yes. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Me too. He should have thrown a squirrel sample in there at least once, you know? Give us something. Okay. We got a new one from Based called Creature. I was wondering when you were going to throw some Danish death metal on here, Brandon, and here you are.
You're welcome. I just discovered this band. Don't know how, but I did. I really like their groove. I think it's really good, man. I think it's the start of an album rollout, and I would be super happy to cover Based. I think metal.
I'm sure we will be if they're dropping an album, man. The guitar's on this fucking rip. And yeah, I think it's Based. I have no idea.
I think metal bands are running out of names, bro.
I think they are too. And I think that we need a new font. The grindcore one. We've used all the lines. We've used them all. When it just looks like a old leather chair seat that's ripped.
I was just gonna say, man, there's a viral photo out there that I think it's like an old school bus seat. It's like, can someone tell me what band this is?
Love that. Okay, man, let's move on to this new one from a million different fucking artists called Le Club. This track is a lot. It's there's ambitious.
A lot here.
Dude, it's a very ambitious fusion of French house, dubstep, electro house, but I couldn't get into it all the way. And I'm all for collaboration, but I think this might be too many artists for one track.
So I'll tell you why I threw this on. I listen to Dirty Phonics. Well, not often, but I don't listen to a lot of bass music lately, as you and I have discussed a lot. But Dirty Phonics was a band that I discovered in 2015 on the lead up to Hard Summer in 2015, where I saw them. And they were really cool in their live shows and in some of their tracks. I couldn't name one if you asked me to, but they actually do like deathcore breakdowns in some of their songs, and there's like mosh pits at the show, and I put on the first like 10 seconds of this song, and I was like, let's talk about it. I have that Dirty Phonics is the only artist on this that I actually even know. I don't know any of these other artists, so I'm gonna be the old man that yells at the cloud here.
Yeah, I didn't know any of the other artists as well. I know Dirty Phonics, and I know they have some bangers, but yeah, this one was a lot. That's my only takeaway. Okay, man, let's move on to these new ones from Kygo, Freeze and Dancing Feet. You added Freeze, and when I listened to it, I had the same experience I always have when I listen to Kygo. I thought it was objectively good, but I thought it was a little boring. So I went to his Spotify page and started to go through his discography a little bit when I realized he dropped another single earlier this year, and that's the Dancing Feet one that I added. And I thought that one was much better than Freeze, at least as it related to my personal taste. So I learned he is capable of making music that I like. I just have to dig one deeper for it, you know?
Oh, man. I actually liked Freeze. I think one of the last times we talked about Kygo, you said that he makes the same song every time. And
EDM for parents, yes.
EDM for parents.
If Toto was a DJ, yeah.
Toto was a DJ. All right. I think that Freeze and Dancing Feet are a bit different. Obviously, they're not tropical house. So, well, I'm glad you liked Dancing Feet. So I think he is maturing his sound, and I think he realized that parents aren't going to his shows, and if he can't sell tickets to his shows, then.
Have you seen his streaming numbers? I do not think that fucker needs to worry about selling anything.
I have not seen his streaming numbers.
Let's look at his top 10. 42 million, 908 million, 687 million, 1 billion, 788 million, 408 million. He has multiple songs in like the 500 million to 1 billion range.
I didn't know that he was this popular. He has 26 million monthly listeners. He's 89th in the world.
89th in the world.
He might be bigger than Young Thug.
Yeah, he's approaching, like, numbers wise, he's approaching Zed. It might not feel like that, but that's like the range he's operating in. He's just appealing to a completely different demographic to do it.
Wow, that's
pretty cool.
That's insane. Well, good for you, Kygo.
Good for you, man.
Get it.
All right, man. Let's talk about this new one from Sunburn and Freak On. I Don't Think You Do. Did you like this?
I thought that this was fucking amazing. Did you not like this?
I thought it was a little Vegas pool party DJ set, but I can see in the right headspace and setting that this would be a fun time.
I thought that this was great.
I didn't think it was bad. I wasn't like, this fucking sucks, but I was like, this is definitely, you're gonna get the shirtless muscle dude grinding his teeth next to you while you're listening to this one. You're like, is this guy gonna hit me or hug me? Like,
John, what Vegas pool party is it even worth it if you don't have the shirtless muscle dude grinding his teeth next to you?
Backwards hat every time. Man.
Backwards trucker hat.
Oh God. I hope we get a documentary about the Vegas pool party peak days. Netflix needs to really be working on that because that's prime content, I'm telling you.
Yeah, man, I agree.
Okay, let's talk about some more EDM, man. Claptone and Laura, beautiful. This feels straight out of the early 2010s Cascade playbook, but I mean that as a compliment. Everything I've heard from Claptone so far has been really high quality, and the vocals on this song are great too. Do you agree?
Yes, absolutely agree. Loved it.
Yeah, this is a really good one, and we're in a Jesus Christ, man. Adriatic and Merino Canal. We have 5 EDM tracks in a row, Brandon.
Yep.
This is the Mind Against remix of Home. Am I rolling right now? Do I need a pacifier?
Quick, somebody give me a light show.
God damn it. I got my new Skittles lights. This track is really good, man. I love all the EDM that sounds like this. Like it has that mousetrap trance house feel to it. And
Yep.
I haven't heard the original of this, but this is a really good remix. Mind Again kills it with the structure on this one.
Yes, I agree. The original is obviously great. Adriatic is top tier. So
Yeah. Well said, man. Oh boy, we have another one I threw on here. Like we had so many late entries this week. It's kind of crazy. Okay, we
it was a
have
big week in music, John.
it was a huge week. So Bad Bunny released a new album that kind of went under our radar slash just not really the type of music we listen to very often. And one of the songs on the album is Otra, I don't even know how to say that, featuring the Marias. And I don't know about you, but I've heard a few Bad Bunny songs, but never really listened to his whole discography or dove in. And I'm more familiar with his pro wrestling career than his music career.
Wait. Bad Bunny was a pro wrestler?
Yeah, I think 2 years ago he had a match at WrestleMania, and he wasn't like celebrity matches at WrestleMania are a very common thing, and they're usually like horrible. But this dude was doing like backflips off the top rope and shit, and like
Hell yeah.
he was getting his ass beat. Like he was definitely like committing to the bit, and I fucking respect him so much for that. But yeah, man, the Marias posted that they had a new song with him on his album, so I had to throw it on here. What did you think?
I have never really listened to Bad Bunny. I'm sure I have inadvertently.
Yeah.
I can see why people love him. This music is good. I don't particularly relate to it because I'm not fluent in Spanish, but I think that it's a great song, and the Marias deserve every ounce of fame they can get. If anybody can sell me a cinema vinyl for under $30, that would be awesome.
I love how many times you've asked somebody for this on the podcast.
Somebody help.
Oh man. Yeah, that song is sitting at a nice 16 million plays already for them in less than a week of being out. I think the song's really good. It's pretty much exactly what I was expecting. I'm just blown away by the numbers it's doing, that this whole album is doing. It's beating the shit out of Jack Harlow in terms of like streaming numbers per song. And the song with the Marias has more plays, I think, than the entire new Arcade Fire record combined as of these notes. Like this
Which
guy's
is
a
crazy.
fucking superstar, dude. He's insane. That's insane numbers.
Well, good for him. Good for the Marias, and we'll see.
We will.
What do you think? You think he's going to play Coachella next year?
Um, Maybe. I don't think he has to, but I think that they would be smart to start to book the like bigger name Hispanic ones like
The
J
Giants.
Balvin and yeah, like get them. I don't know if Callie played it before it went down, but she would be a good booking too.
Yeah,
Okay, man, you ready to talk about the Heart Part 5?
I sure am.
Okay, dude. The king is officially back, and he returned this week. And in true Kendrick Lamar fashion, the same week that his album is going to drop, he gives us the latest entry in the Heart series. How familiar are you with the Heart series?
I've listened to all of them.
Yeah, same. I really only remember like lyrics to Part 4, but I've heard all of them. This is the first one that really feels like an event. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. This definitely felt like an event.
Yeah, he dropped this song and video on Monday, and its impact was immediately felt throughout the music community and beyond. The video is as powerful as the song, and I hope everyone has had a chance to see the video as well as hear the song. We see him use deepfake technology to morph into Kobe Bryant, Nipsey Hussle, OJ Simpson, Jussie Smollett, and Will Smith, and at times rap through their perspective, something only he could really pull off as tastefully as he does on this song. The most powerful part of the song to me was when he was rapping from the perspective of Nipsey to the person who killed him. That shit is powerful, man,
It's
and it broke
really
me
cool.
down.
It's
Like
really cool, man.
I would quote it, but that it needs to just be heard because it's poetry to me, man. And we haven't seen a track list yet, but I don't expect this to be on the album or albums since none of the others have appeared on the albums they were released before. But I can't wait to hear this in full. I can't believe this fucker got a Marvin Gaye sample cleared for a Lucy, like goddamn Kendrick Lamar. This is just an example of why people need to give artists the time they want to create, because this is what you get. This is how you get transcendent work, and it's the only way, really. What are your thoughts on this?
Honestly, man, I think you said it all. I think that Kendrick's ability to match all of these artists' flows, just like as it happens, and I think I think the deepfake shit is weird, but it was really trippy to watch the video.
Very jarring.
And, oh yeah, dude, you blink and all of a sudden I'm like, is that fucking OJ Simpson, bro?
Yep.
Like, that's weird. Oh shit, he's Kanye now. That's weird.
You know who did that for the video?
Trey Stone and Matt Parker.
Yes.
They're apparently working with him on something of a movie or a play or something along those lines that incorporates some deep fake stuff, which is fucking cool, man. And then
Yeah, they own a big studio.
and then it also came out that Kendrick ghost wrote on a ton of music recently. I think like 6 or 7 of those Baby Keem songs he wrote for, and even wrote a couple of verses for the features on Damn, which is
Oh,
neat,
wow.
man. Yeah,
That's crazy.
Yeah, he's been busy. We just we haven't heard his music yet, so I'm very excited. We get that on Friday, don't we?
We do, man. Tomorrow night, 9 p.m. on the West Coast. I'm sure you and will both be up. That's gonna be one, man. I will be up listening to it probably
Yep.
once or twice before bed.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. We'll see what happens. You think
I
it's
guess
a double?
depending on how long it is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you think it's a double?
I I don't know. I think in the age of streaming, a double album kind of loses its context. I think it'll be at least 16 songs. That's kind of my guess for it.
One
If
can
it
only
breaks
hope.
it into 8 and 8, I'm guessing. Did you see the album artwork for it was released today?
Yeah, you texted it to me. Pretty
Yeah,
cool,
it's
man.
interesting.
Pretty
It's
cool.
interesting. It's always kind of weird when you see an album artwork for the first time and you're like, I'm going to see this album artwork in media for the next 20 years or like the rest of my life. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah, man.
All right, man. Let's move on to these EPs. So we got an EP here from Shaw Calhoun, My Regards EP. Big Eleanor Records reached out to us on Instagram and wanted to know what we thought of their artist. And this is his new EP. So I figured I'd throw it on. Fuck it. And I really enjoyed listening to this, honestly. You know, I love chopped up soul beats. His bars were all really good. There's some really good fucking food bars on this EP, especially on Black Booties for Cecilia. He's rapping about wings with mumbo sauce and peach cobbler. I love it, and it made me hungry. My only real criticism of this is just that I wish the songs had a little more kick or bounce to them, but that's just my personal preference. Overall, I thought this was pretty good, though. What'd you think?
That was also my only criticism, but I couldn't quite put it into words, and I think you did it very well. I think you articulated it pretty well. This is a well-crafted EP, man. I really like the piano beats and all the samples that were used. I really enjoyed this, man. He's got a great voice. He's got a good flow, and I clicked on that little follow button. I smashed that subscribe button on Shaw Calhoun, so we'll see what happens.
I did as well, man. Yeah, good EP. I enjoyed it. All right, let's move on to this new one from Loon. Fuck yeah, go SEP. Boy, you've been adding Loon since she started, so I'm sure you are happy to have an official EP now.
Yep.
How'd you like it?
This is fucking awesome, bro. There's some neat collabs from artists that I'd never really heard of. I know we had heard at least one of these songs prior to the EP release.
Yeah, I think one or two.
Yeah, man. I'm just a big fan of her music under this moniker, and I can't get enough of Loon.
Lights in the streets, loon in the sheets.
There it is.
This girl went fucking full goblin mode on this EP and just gave us nothing but bangers. And I love it, honestly. Like, I love that this EP was released on Fueled by Ramen. Like, what a time to be alive. I hope she keeps doing this project. It's a lot of fun. People, like, this is so jarring. When I looked, I was like, is she on like Mousetrap for this record or something? No, it's still Fueled by Ramen. So
That's so
props
funny,
to them
man.
for branching out.
That is so funny. That's great. That's great.
All right, man. Let's move on to this last EP before we get into the albums. It's by Simple, or it's called Simple. It's by K Tronada and IDK. Was this what you were thinking it would be?
All right. So this one's kind of weird for me. Full transparency, I've never understood the hype behind K Tronada. Everybody on the internet hypes him up. I mean, there's even people on some of these subreddits that I'm on, and I won't name usernames because I think your opinion is garbage. But K Tronada is the best electronic artist out there. Somebody actually said that, and I for the life of me, I can't wrap that around my head. Maybe I just don't get it. Am I the one that's wrong? No, it's the kids. They're wrong. What I do know about this one is that the beats are really great, and I do like all of the production from K Tronada. I think IDK's lyrics are they're like flat. There's just nothing lyrically that's keeping me here. It's just the same. It's the same. All my homies have money. All my homies get hoes. Like that's it.
I didn't really pick up on that as much as you. I think that this EP is more of a vibe EP than a lyric EP to me. I think it's
That's fair.
I think that's K Tronada's music in general. It's music you throw on and don't focus on. I think he does have a few really good songs. He's got one with Kaliuchis that I like. He's got one with Craig David that's fucking incredible. He did that one with her last year, Intimidated, that you and I both really, really liked.
That's right, huh? That was him.
Yeah. So I think that like it's just kind of hit or miss with us. And you and I have been reviewing a ton of hip hop, and I think our bar is just really high. Like fucking today in the car, I listened to Pusha T, Vince Staples, and Denzel Curry's albums. Like, so I get it, man. When you hear something, you're like, that was good, but I'm not really gonna think about it after this. Like, it is what it is. I feel like I personally really liked this EP. I think this fits any mood perfectly, and you can just throw it on. I think vocally, the melodies he's using kind of float on top of the beats, and it's like a combination of this pre-808s Kanye charisma, and I don't know what else. He's got a lot to him, and I think he's got a lot of raw potential. This is a little too short to ever be like an album of the year, but I think it's a terrific release and definitely cemented me as a fan of both artists for sure.
Cool, man. Glad you enjoyed it.
Yes. Okay. You ready to get into the albums? I know you've been dying to talk about some of these.
Yeah, I'm just going to jump right in here, man.
Should I say what it is?
Yeah, we've got Arcade Fire. They released their album, We. So I did have one criticism of Lookout Kid, which was I missed the way Wynn's kind of way of writing lyrics. Lookout Kid was a little bit too on the nose. Well, I think he delivered that and then some on the entire album. I think that I think the lyrics are fucking awesome. I think this is an incredible album filled with a bunch of dance grooves. They've got pianos and violins. They've got corny yet authentic lyrics. There's vocal harmonies. There's melodies that just won't quit. There's heavy themes. It's literally everything I love about Arcade Fire. Now, I'll never really understand why some people, and apparently the majority of hardcore Arcade Fire fans, disliked their last album, Everything Now, as I think it's a really strong album with a ton of disco influences. But This album has a ton of like disco. There's a little bit of house even in there. Some influences, the last half of the Age of Anxiety one and Rabbit Hole. But I think they blend the piano indie pop really well on this project into some of those dance influences. I have yet to find something I dislike about this album. It is presented very well. The mix on it is quite honestly impeccable. The instrumentation on the End of the Empire 1 through 3 is just amazing. We have violins, we have a little bit of sax, we have some other brass that I can't really make out. Sagittarius A is a beautiful song. It's sad as fuck, but it's beautiful nonetheless. One of the many moments that gave me full goosebumps on this album was Sagittarius A. All of these songs are incredible, man. This album is beautifully crafted, beautifully played, beautifully sang, and I think it's beautifully performed. I'm going to be listening to this for a long time. I gave this a 10. I thought that this was a 10 out of 10 album.
Wow.
My standout was Age of the Empire 4, Sagittarius A, or Age of Anxiety 2, Rabbit Hole. I couldn't decide which one I liked better.
Wow, a 10. Okay,
I'm
man.
dying
Fuck
to
yeah.
think about what you thought of this, or hear what you thought about this album, because if I'm not mistaken, this is the first full Arcade Fire album you've ever listened to. Am I
It
wrong?
is. Yep.
All
Yep,
right.
You're not wrong.
Let me hear it,
Okay.
John.
So I think you'll be pleased to know I liked this album more than I thought I would. And even though their music has been growing on me, I was still worried about how I would connect with this release. It's not one of my favorite albums of the year, but I think it's really, really good for what it is. I like the way they open the album up. Age of Anxiety 1 and 2 are both upbeat indie rock with a little electronic edge to them, and I think it starts the album off on a really strong note. End of the Empire 1 through 3 and Sagittarius A were my standouts and really do a great job of anchoring the middle of the album, because of all of the musical elements you listed. Very reminiscent of Radiohead, by the way. Like, that's immediately what came to mind when I heard the like strings and the way he's kind of singing in that light falsetto over it, but not like in a derivative way, just reminiscent. The Lightning 1 and 2, they've grown on me, but are still my least favorite songs on the album, and I'm a little confused as to why they were released as the first singles. Unconditional 1 and 2 are both solid tracks, and they finished the album on a strong note with the title track I think that was maybe my second runner-up to my favorite. I think the music they make doesn't align with my personal taste, but I found this album objectively good. I gave it a 6 out of 10. End of the Empire 1 through 3 and Sagittarius A were my standouts.
It's so funny how our tastes are so the same, but they're so dissimilar on certain things.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's always been indie has been one of the things that we just hear a little differently. And I think that's mostly because you're probably a little more intellectually inclined with your like absorption of the lyrics. Like,
yeah,
I go on
read
feeling.
lyrics
Everything to me is feeling. Like, there are lyrics that impress me, like the Kendrick Lamar stuff. And yeah, some of the lyrics on that album are great. But if like the music, like, I don't know, it's brain chemistry, really. Like, when the right notes align with the way your brain works, you just feel a certain way. And I don't know, like,
That's super fair, man.
yeah, like I find them really good, and they're still growing on me. And after seeing their Coachella performance, like, I get why they're a very, very well-respected band, but it's definitely an articulated or what's the word? Acquired taste, I think.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I sent you that Atlantic review of this album. I did you read it?
Yeah, that was pretty harsh.
It just I don't know what else to say except for that guy's fucking wrong.
I
Like,
think I should go out with coffee with the person who wrote the Pitchfork Jack Harlow. They would have a lot to talk about. All right, man. Let's move on to this new Silverstein album, because I'm really fucking excited to talk about it. Misery Made Me.
let's go.
So, while they've done a little trend chasing here and there, they've always been the benchmark for consistency in the scene, and this album only further cements that reputation. They're vets who know how to write and structure an album. They kick the album off with the most pop punk track, Our Song, to get you into the right headspace before diving into the few main singles. We reviewed Die Alone and Ultraviolet already, but both tracks are really good and fit nicely into the album. Cold Blood is solid. It's Over, The Altar slash Mary, and Slow Motion is my favorite 3 song run on the album. It's Over is probably my favorite song in general. The Altar slash Mary sounds like something modern day Under Oath would do to me a little bit. But it's a little different for Silverstein. I think Slow Motion is great. Hearing Mike from The Devil Wears Prada with Silverstein is awesome and kind of like a scene kid dream project type of thing for me to hear, I guess. And Bankrupt, a little heavier than I like them going, but I think they pulled it off pretty well. And like the fucking legends they are, man, they end the album with an acoustic emo song that leaves you feeling all fucking nostalgic and wanting to hit play again. I love this album. I gave it a 7 out of 10. It's Over was my standout. How did you feel?
So, I know you know this, but our listeners might not. All 4 of our listeners might not. Arcade Fire and Silverstein are 2 of my favorite bands. I've been listening to Silverstein for at least 15 years. They've just been a part of my life when I was growing up. Can you? This band is 20 years old. Yeah. And to release a project like this after 20 years, I mean, geez, man. They just absolutely dominate the post-hardcore genre. They just do. This album is actually a bit all over the place stylistically, and it's probably their least cohesive album they've released, but I think it works really well for this project, and they took a lot of risks here. Like I said, on the lead up to this album, I was pretty scared that they would end up being a little overproduced and a little too poppy and a little too trend chasey. And I got to thank Silverstein. They proved me wrong. That's not what we got. Like you said, Our Song was a great opener. Die Alone is hardcore, really ties them back to their roots. And we talked about that a little bit when their single released. Ultraviolet gets stuck in my head at least once a week. It's a fucking banger. It's been on my weekly rotation since the song released. I liked all of the singles that they released, but the album cuts are where this album really shines. Cold Blood features Trevor Daniel, which it's a bold choice for Silverstein. I've never heard of him, but I listened to a little of his music, and it's not this. But I think that it's pretty cool. They've done plenty of collaborations before, but it's mostly just Caleb of Beartooth style artists. And yes. Like you said, hearing Mike from The Devil Wears Prada it's a scene kid's dream, man. You don't get that.
That's fucking awesome.
We didn't get that 15 fucking years ago. Cold Blood not only works, but it's one of the highlights of the album. It's something different that really ties back to their roots. I guess 20 years. I guess 20 years into your career is definitely the time to take some notes, right? Or take some risks. Yep. They fucking made it work, man. The next wild card that Silverstein throws us is The Altar / Mary. This song really kind of shook me at first, to be honest. I wasn't really sure what to think of it. As you probably guessed, I've listened to this album every day since it released, at least once a day. And on subsequent listens, this song has really, really grown on me. It starts out heavy as fuck, and then it progresses into this weird electronic pitch-corrected bridge and just straight up into fucking chaos again. They're really taking risks, and it's really paying off, man. Somebody Has to Die being repeated over and over and over again. It just hits, dude. The song fucking rips, and if they made more music like this, I'd be super open to it. It's that song is just going to absolutely destroy venues. Yeah. No one can tell me otherwise. Slow Motion proves that Silverstein does melody better than most of the bands out there right now. Mike's vocals are fucking awesome, and they sound great together. Don't Wait Up kind of almost seems out of place, seeing it's like a normal Silverstein song. Bankrupt is heavy, and honestly, I don't think it has a place on this album.
Yeah, that was a weird one for me. Don't Wait Up and Bankrupt are like the two where you're like, those could have been deluxe edition.
Yeah, but they also released Bankrupt like a year ago, like a long time ago.
Yeah,
like a long time ago. They might have just thrown it in there because I don't know, something. Live Like This with Nothing Nowhere, which was actually released as a single just prior to the album release, but I waited until the album dropped to listen to it. It's another weird collab that shouldn't work, but it does. And then, like you said, Misery is a great way to end this album, and it just makes me want to press play on the start again.
Yep.
Yeah, I fucking loved this album. After I want to say 7 or 8 listens to the whole album front to back. I gave it a 9, man. I'm super impressed with this album. I love how many risks that they took and how well they paid off. And I thought about my standout a lot. I was like, which one of these? It's the Alter / Mary. After having
Wow.
it be like a
Okay.
really weird thing for me to listen to at first, because again, I grew up with Silverstein, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it really shines on this album. I really liked it.
I agree, man. Yeah, like I said, that 3 song run, It's Over, The Altar Mary, and Slow Motion is just insanely good. They
Incredible.
they still have it for sure.
They killed it. They are going on tour.
Yes, they are. And have you've seen them live how many times?
At least twice, maybe 3 times. At
Yeah,
least twice.
I think I'm somewhere in the same range.
Yeah, I saw them at their Discovering the Waterfront anniversary tour, which was fucking awesome. Beartooth opened for them, and then I saw them at their When Broken is Easily Fixed anniversary tour. One of the songs on that live album is actually from one of the shows that I went to, and Hawthorne
Sick.
Heights opened for them, which was really cool to see. They had a banner behind them that said, "I used to listen to Hawthorne Heights in high school."
Oh boy. Too real for me, huh?
Yeah, a little on the nose there, Hawthorne Heights.
All right, great album from Silverstein. Let's move on to this new one from Rolling Blackouts, Coastal Fever, Endless Rooms. I know you've been excited for this one.
I have been. Honestly, this one was kind of hard to review after listening to Arcade Fire and Silverstein.
I agree. I fucking agree, man. Trust me.
It's a fun indie record. It does a lot of things really well. There's some really cool riffs. There's some poppy hooks. There's some great choruses, and the hero on this album are the just awesome bass lines. There's nothing revolutionary about this band or album, but it really does kind of hit the spot for that Australian indie feel, man. Apparently, I just love Australian bands. This is good. It's easy listening. It reminds me kind of like Foster the People X Bad Sons kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's upbeat and poppy without being too much of either. But again, the bass lines just are fucking awesome, which is why my standout is The Way It Shatters. And I gave it a 7.
Okay. Yeah, no, we're pretty much dead in line. The Way It Shatters is my standout. I gave it a 6. I don't really have a lot of criticisms of it. Like they play really well. It's just fun to throw on. I think it's just an overwhelming time to be releasing rock music because everything feels comparative at the right now for some reason. And yeah, because we've digested so many of their songs as singles, it is like it's weird when you hear an album finally and you've gotten so many scattered singles and you go from that mindset of new song, old song, old song, like in your brain.
Right.
So I went through that a little bit with this. Like my brain was most excited when I would hear 2 new songs in a row, you know? So I like their style. I think I like it a little more in short doses, but I really enjoyed the album. I gave it a 6. Yeah. And yeah, The Way It Shatters, just that bass line is so fucking good, man.
So good.
It's killer. All right. Anything else you have on this one? Or are you good?
No, I think I'm good. Well, actually, one more thing.
Yeah.
How hard do you think indie bands as a whole rolled their eyes as soon as Arcade Fire was like, we're releasing on the 6th?
As hard as every rapper that planned to release this year rolled their eyes when Kendrick posted that he was releasing. I'm sure they're in that stratosphere. Like I said, every like rock music websites headlines have just been dominated by Arcade Fire related stuff since they've come back. So I don't know, man. I imagine that a lot of other bands are not loving it, but this is how you play the game. You got to get to that level.
Right. That's true.
Yep. All right, man. You ready to move on to this Warpaint record?
Let's do it. I'm dying to
Okay.
know what you thought about this.
Okay, I'll go first then. So they released their new record, Radiate Like This, and I like to few songs on this album, but it landed about how you'd expect it to land for me, Brandon. I thought the first half of the album was more my speed than the second half, but none of it is something I'd really return to on my own. I like alternative pop, but their music lacks that grunge element that a lot of the alt pop artists I like tend to have. Uh, I think either Stevie or Hard to Tell You would be my standout. I gave it a 4 out of 10, though, just because it fell on the more didn't like it than liked it side.
Honestly, man, it's really hard to review albums that probably were going to be very good, in my opinion, after just absolute fucking masterpieces, in my opinion. So I feel you, man.
Yeah,
So while listening to this album, I started thinking about, do you remember soft rock radio stations?
of course.
What are those going to be like in the future? I think this is going to be that.
Phoebe Bridgers.
Maybe, yeah. I think this album would be a good candidate for something like that, like soft rock. But what I really like about the project is the little kind of electronic hits we get. Like Hips is a good example of this. I think the vocals are the standout of this album, though. They have this kind of moody yet expressive style that just kind of floats over the instrumentals, and you can tell it's held back kind of to fit with the music, but it's not like we don't hear their range. I thought this was a really pretty album. It has fun with some textures and sounds while not coming off as completely experimental. I gave it a 5. My standout, though, was Champion, because this shit got stuck in my head like every day.
What was your standout?
Champion.
Champion. Okay. Yeah. Like I said, that first half of the album goes pretty nicely. I think it's a catchy one. I'll give you that. Just stylistically, not my cup of tea, but I'm glad you at least enjoyed it a bit.
I did.
I knew you would, which is why I'm glad you threw it on. All right, man. You ready to move on to this Cosmic Putrefaction album?
Say the album title, John.
Crepuscular Dirge for the Blessed Ones?
Yep.
Okay. Jesus Christ. H.P. Lovecraft reading really helped me as a kid, I think.
What a fucking album title, man. Crepuscular Dirge for the Blessed Ones. Oh, man.
Oh, man. I'll let you go first on this, you being the resident death metal aficionado.
All right, man. So I knew I was going to like it based on the single we heard a week or two ago, but I honestly didn't think I was going to like it as much as I do. They have a massive sound. I love the way that they incorporate the drum grooves into the majority of the album. And it's funny you sent me that Blast Beats meme because a lot of death metal albums will rely heavily on blast beats, but these guys don't rely on it to make their music heavy or death metal. Honestly, man, a lot of care was put into this album, and I think that they're criminally underrated. Since this album has released, though, I got to give them props. On Spotify, they've jumped from 2,400 to 4,300 listeners per month.
Wow.
Yeah, that's almost like doubling their listener base with one album drop. To me, that's huge. The best things about this album for me are the drum grooves, the variations of the vocals in areas where it really counts, the risks they took, like adding synths and clean vocals to the song From Resounding Silence to the Obsidian Womb, and how we get a perfect mix of well-produced and rawness from them. I think that there's this kind of line, right, where death metal or metal in general can feel, or heavy music rather, call it extreme music. Deathcore, you can do that, but where you get like really overproduced music or way too raw music, and I think they kind of hit that middle ground in what is, for my personal tastes, fucking perfect. I gave this an 8, man. My standout was the resounding silence to the Obsidian Womb. What did you think about this?
Fuck yeah, man. I was surprised at how much I liked the single of theirs that you added recently. I'm not a big death metal fan, and I really only seem to like 1 in every 5 new death metal bands that you show me, but they somehow managed to hit the like sweet spot in terms of my taste. At first I told you they reminded me of like Early Job for a Cowboy or Winds of Plague a little bit, but after listening to this, I definitely hear them as their own band much, much more. This is one of the better metal releases we've covered this year, and it'll be interesting to see how it holds up to whatever else we have coming up, man. I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 7 out of 10. Either Soul's Upheaval Debris or From Resounding Silence would be my standout from this.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that they've definitely, like I said, man, they have a massive sound, and it is their own, which is
Yeah.
hard to do in death metal. Like we talked about with that Undeath album that just released, it's clearly just Cannibal Corpse, just not them. But this is not that, but it's still in that same genre, and they have. I think they're going to get big in the death metal world, which means about 25 to 28,000 monthly listeners. So.
Fuck yeah, man. Well, I hope they blow up because I really enjoy it. I'm all for more good death metal in the world.
I've seen some buzz about them online. So
Good. Good. All right. You ready to move on to probably the most divisive album of the 21st century? We got Jack Harlow's.
speaking of a lot of buzz, right?
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Jack Harlow's new album, Come Home, The Kids Miss You, which before we even get into the fucking album itself, I do not like what labels do with this debut word shit. It's fucking stupid. When his 2019 album Confetti came out, if you like go back and read the Pitchfork review, they're like his fourth full-length release, and then or like it's like his second, and then in the one for this, it's like his second full-length album. And then the label's like, this is his debut album. This shit makes no fucking sense. Like, it's so stupid. And I hate the way they try and use that shit to sell it extra.
What do we say? They're all projects?
Yes, they're all projects. So, yes, Jack Harlow released a new project, Come Home, The Kids Miss You. And I'm going to go first on this one, if that's okay
Please,
with you.
please do.
Because there's been a lot of buzz online about this one. All of it pretty much negative, and I think this album is far from great, but I don't think it's quite as bad as everybody's saying it is. I don't know what people were expecting, but I think it had to have lived up to the label's expectations. It won't make anyone who wasn't a fan of his before this change their mind. And the criticisms are obvious. A lot of the songs sound the same. His flow's monotonous. The lyrics could have depth, or they're super fucking corny, like talking about semen and pineapple juice. And at times it sounds like he tried to make a Drake album more than his own. But it's hard to imagine that this album does anything but make him a much bigger star. It's Jack Harlow rapping over expensive beats for 45 minutes with big name features and a handful of songs that have the potential to be massive hits, which is what I think separates this from something like Chance the Rapper's The Big Day. It was a critical failure and a commercial flop. This is a critical failure for sure, but this is still going to do very fucking well. I give it a 5 out of 10, and Parent Trap was my standout just because I'm an old school JT head like that. What are your thoughts? Because we have not talked about this at all.
You know what, man? I'm really glad that we don't talk about these albums until we get on the mic. So I don't know if you knew this, but Jack Harlow is handsome, he's rich, and he's white. If you didn't know before you started listening to this album, then you definitely do by the end of it. Look, to answer his question on the song "Talk of the Town," am I the realist? Is what he asks. Nah, man, you're not. But I don't have very many bad words for this album because I just don't have many words for it in general. It's okay. If anything, it's a little flat and a little boring. The instrumentals are decent, and really the only thing about this album that I really, really like. The lyrics are Jack Harlow lyrics, like you said.
Yep.
What were people expecting?
Yeah.
Jack Harlow is not known for his substance. Like,
No, it's a pop rap album, for fuck's sake.
oh man, some of the memes were great. It's about to be popping off in every single frat party in 2022.
Oh yeah, no, this is for sure the Asher Roth album of 2022, but like it's made for college dorm room parties and shit like that, but it's going to find a market, I guarantee you that. The biggest song off of it already is First Class, which I think that song's at like 150 million plays.
I actually just looked, and it is currently at 185 million plays,
which is mostly because of TikTok, but
right.
It's just like, I don't know, man. I think you have to go in with reasonable expectations for a mainstream pop album.
So I need to ask what you think. How much do you think he paid Snoop to just talk on that album for a second on Young Harleasy?
God, I don't know, man. That
I'm
track is so bad.
I'm a bet over $20,000, dude.
Yeah. I'm guessing his label gave him a massive budget for that. And
Yeah.
I'm guessing all of these artists took their fee. But it's interesting that you bring that up because Vince Staples just did Big Boy. So you might hear the interview on the radio out there if you get the chance. But one of the first things he was asked about was, sorry, let me get a drink of water really quick, was the feature on his album and how he selects them and how he got Little Baby. And he was like, dude, Little Baby did that shit for free. Like I asked him to do the verse and his like rates are like 100K. And I was like, you know, pay him whatever he wants. And he was like, waive it. Like I'll do it for free.
That's awesome.
So that's what people do for artists that they like. I don't know. I'm guessing maybe Drake waived his. I don't know if he needs it, and they've been doing a bunch of shit together ever since this. But I don't know, man. Did you say your rating yet?
No, I haven't yet. I'm not done quite yet.
Oh, please keep going.
How are you gonna have Drake feature on a Drake album?
On a Drake song too.
Right, exactly. I particularly do like the beat on Parent Trap, and Timberlake sounds fucking great, dude. One thing I will say, Lil Wayne tried so hard to bring some energy to this album, and it's severely lacking energy. The entire album just has no energy. I think if he had released this like late October, it might have done commercial. It might have done better on Twitter. I think that it's, if you're going to release it.
I don't know if this was ever going to do good on Twitter, my friend. I don't know.
Twitter's not a real place. Look, I don't think that it deserves to get all of the hate that it's gotten. I think it's just not a good album. It's not, quote, terrible, like what Pitchfork said. And really the clowning online is just a bunch of people who probably just jumped on the bandwagon. There are some great beats, and the parts of the album that have energy are great. That said, I will not be revisiting this one. My standout was Poison featuring Lil Wayne, but it's really Lil Wayne's verse on Poison. Yeah. That is my standout. I gave it a 3.
Lil Wayne's running out of words to use, man.
You know what's funny, dude? I just listened to The Carter last night, and man, we were so blessed to have that man doing what he was doing back then.
Dude, it's crazy, man. The Carter 1 through 3, that's a must listen for anybody that's never heard that era of him, because it's fucking insane, man. I love that shit.
Yep.
Okay, you ready to move on?
I am definitely ready to move on because I know you're excited about this next one.
I am. So we have a new one from Ella Mai. Her sophomore album, Heart on My Sleeve, came out, and surprise, it's fucking incredible. She's only 2 albums into her career, and she's 2 for 2. She does not miss. This is a certified R&B classic, and we've gotten a lot of really good R&B this year, but this is the first great R&B album I think we've gotten, and I don't really see anybody topping it soon, but who knows. I told you last week this would be my favorite R&B album since Snow Allegra's last album, and I was 1,000% correct. This was an easy no skips for me. How, Pieces, Don't Fuck Me Up, Leave Me Lonely. Like literally every song on this is good. I'm not usually a big ballad fan, which you and I have talked about a lot, but like I think even her ballads are good. Hide and Power of a Woman were both very, very strong tracks. And just the way she gets so much emotion out of her voice with every inflection is mesmerizing to me. I gave this one a 9 out of 10. I can't pick a favorite, but I am curious to see how you as a non-R&B head received this.
All right, so this is the R&B I really enjoy, John.
Good.
There's plenty of vocal ranges. There's lots of energy, even on the ballady songs. Like we've talked about the fact that the hardcore R&B ballads I just can't do, but like even on the ballads on this one, I was like, okay, there's some energy here. I think she chose the features really well, and drum roll, if you don't mind, I even liked the Lucky Day feature.
Oh boy, that song is great.
Latto sounds cool. Have we covered her before? Sounds familiar.
She did that song that Gambino did a verse on.
Got it. All right. Also, Roddy Ricch sounds great. The production on this is really good and really well thought out. The album structure, in my opinion, is great. She's got this incredible confidence to her while listening. I felt empowered, John. I think this album is my favorite. Is my favorite R&B album of 2022, obviously this year, and I will probably actually be revisiting this album throughout the year. I gave it an 8, and my standout was "Didn't Say."
Hell yeah, man. Fuck yes. We're getting through to him, people. That's awesome, man. I'm fucking glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you like Didn't Say, which I felt like Didn't Say, Break My Heart, and Fallen Angel was going to be the 3-song stretch that would test you the most on this.
I really liked "Didn't Say."
Good, good. Yeah, no, the production style of her music is definitely a little different than the like more stripped down shit that I add or that we've covered earlier this year for sure.
Yep.
Okay, man. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed that. It'll be interesting to see if anything even comes close to topping it because it's going to be tough. You ready to talk about this new Alice in Wonderland album?
Sure am.
Okay, so she just dropped her new one, Loner, finally. Please tell me your thoughts on this because I'm very interested.
All right. So I really did not like the drop on Safe Life. It feels like it's like it's like not in time. I don't know. Okay. Now that that's out of the way, I actually really like this album, man. Like I've been saying throughout this album rollout, she's playing with a lot of cool textures and atmospheres that she hasn't in the past. Vocals are strong and just really good. I genuinely enjoyed it, man. I really like that she's kind of coming out of her skin and kind of doing things that she hasn't in the past while still staying true to her kind of general style. I feel a lot of Elohim coming from this, and yeah, I really liked it. I gave it a 7, and my favorite is Something Real.
Does she do all the vocals on her own songs?
I think so, dude.
That's fucking crazy, dude. It for me, it's hard to be anything other than impressed by this album. I think I underestimated how good she really was. Her 2018 album Awake was really good, but this one feels much more focused to me. It also feels a lot more personal lyrically. She plays with a lot of interesting textures on this album, and it all works. I really enjoyed her more pop sounding songs. Something Real and Cocaine were both phenomenal. And this album's great from start to finish for me. And this has been, again, a year where we've been blessed with like so many fucking great albums. Didn't we just review Royksop's new album last week?
We sure did.
Yeah, like it's so hard to keep all of this in perspective, but I loved this. I think this is her best album to date. I gave it an 8 out of 10. Something Real was my favorite without question. Was that your standout as well?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought you said Cocaine, but I think I just thought that because I just read it.
Well,
good times.
This was a crazy week, John.
It was, and I can't fucking wait for next week because we have new albums from the Black Keys, Florence and the Machine, The Smile, and State Champs. But let's be honest, the music world is stopping because Kendrick Lamar is finally resurfacing. We will have our reviews of Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers for you guys next Wednesday night, and we can't fucking wait to talk to you then.
Yeah. All right.
Anything you want to add before we go?
No, I think I'm good, man. Thank you to everybody that listens. Don't forget to follow us, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Peace.